To keep on top of your drivetrain maintenance or even change your gear ratios, you'll be wanting to remove your cassette. Now it may seem complicated, but it's actually pretty straightforward with the right tools. The cassette is held on to the free hub with a lock ring, and to remove that you'll just need a specialist lock ring tool to undo that. And because the cassette can spin, allowing you to freewheel, that is where the chain whip comes in. Then finally, you need to grip the lock ring tool using a specialist spanner or just an adjustable wrench. First things first, we need to remove the back wheel from the bike, and to make things easier, I normally suggest putting it in the big ring on the front and then the smallest cog on the back. That way it's far more straightforward when you replace the wheel after. Right, once the wheel is out, we then need to remove the skewer so that we can access the lock ring. Now it's worth noting that there are two different types of lock rings and therefore two different types of lock ring removal tools. Firstly, we have one for SHIMANO and SRAM here, which would work with this cassette. And then we have a different one for CAMPAGNOLO here. And whilst they do look very similar, they do have very different depths and sizing of the teeth, so they won't actually work with each other. Now slot the lock ring tool into the cassette, and I would suggest placing the wheel on the ground with the hub facing away from you so that you can apply pressure down when we get to the loosening part. Then with the chain whip, you want to wrap the chain around the cassette on one of the largest cogs. However, not the largest cogs. You want to allow yourself a bit of space between your hand and the spokes to save you shaving any skin off your knuckles. And then finally, just make sure that the chain is holding well on the cassette. Next, you want to take your spanner or adjustable wrench and attach it to the lock ring. And I tend to try and position these at something like a 2 and 10 o'clock position. Right, now we're ready to loosen the lock ring. So keep firm hold of the chain whip in your left hand. And we want to apply a bit more pressure down on the wrench in our right hand. And it can require a bit of force because the cassette does need to be held on pretty tight. Now that the lock ring is free, you can remove the wrench and the chain whip, but leaving the lock ring tool in place, and then just unscrew the rest by hand. Now that you've removed the lock ring and the lock ring tool, you should be able to slide the cassette off the free hub body pretty easily. Now, if you do have trouble pulling the cassette off, it could be because you have an aluminium free hub body which forms some dents and notches, causing the cassette to get stuck. So if this is the case, just remove as many parts of the cassette as possible and then apply a bit of pressure on those remaining parts to prise it off. As you can see, cassettes are often made up of a number of parts. Some come as one complete block, or others, like this one, come as a lot of individual parts with spaces between them. Now, if you're replacing your cassette with a new one, you will need to be wary of compatibility. How wide your free hub body is will determine how many gears you can have. And if you've got an 11-speed cassette, you will need an 11-speed free hub body. However, an 11-speed free hub body can actually take a 10-speed cassette or smaller with the correct spacer behind it. In the same way that CAMPAGNOLO requires a different lock ring tool, it also requires a different free hub body. So SHIMANO and SRAM cassettes require a SHIMANO and SRAM compatible free hub body, whereas a CAMPAGNOLO requires a different free hub body. So the good news is that to replace the cassette is actually pretty hard to do it wrong. And that's because the free hub body has a pattern of splines that make it impossible to put the cassette on in the wrong position or the wrong way round. Now for tightening the lock ring back on. You won't actually need the chain whip for this because you're tightening in the direction that you pedal. So you only need the lock ring tool and your spanner or wrench. If you can, simply screw the lock ring on by hand just to hold the cassette in place, and then insert your lock ring tool to then screw on again by hand. Then to finish it, attach the wrench and apply pressure to secure it firmly. So there we go, just reinsert the skewer, place it back on your bike and you're good to go. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and to see more videos like this, just click on the globe to subscribe to GTN. And to see our 8 best value triathlon upgrades, just click up here. And to see our triathlon jargon buster video, just click down here.